This daf Yerushalmi Pesachim. The article also additional Moshe top of Tezvav Ralph Rabbi Yomer, and that in the Vilna is on the fourth line down on Yud Beis on the base. Rabbi Yomer. So Rabbi says, "Omer tashbisu soy batechem." They have to. I don't know exactly how to translate in English the tashbisu most accurately, but you must cause this chametz to desist from your house, to be eradicate from your house, but I think the most proper translation is to desist it, but I don't think that that's proper grammar. In any event, davar by motzei. So how is it desisted from your house? It has to be that it's not seen and not found. So ezuzeh zebestreifa. So as a Korban points out, if you're porer v'zor l'ruach with matel yam, if you pulverize it and then you scatter it to the winds and the sea, it's still yimotzei. It's still extant. It still can be found. So therefore, what's the ideal way of eliminating or chametz? By sreifa, by burning it where it no longer is extant in any way, shape, or form. And which generally comes out that Rebbe holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yerushalmi, to the best of my knowledge, this question is not in the Vilna, not in the Bavli. Rabbi Yerushalmi, petach hamor shehemis, a petach hamor, a firstborn donkey. So the halacha is it's got to be either redeemed or it's got to have its neck chopped off, like a garufa. So now, this petach hamor hemis, it was a murdered a human being, killed a human being. So now, what do you do with it? What's do you do the mitzvah of miso, which applies to petach hamor, which Pashas came first, for Rafto, to chop its neck. You do the more severe miso, Pashas, which is skila, right? Skila is more chomer than cherev, who came later on for it being a murderer. Maybe sus barifa b'skila. A fascinating question, but the Yerushalmi doesn't resolve it. Okay. Rabbi Yon ben Levi Shal. Rabbi Yon ben Levi asked Chalos Toda. So let's see the coordinator. Chalos Toda Shem Chametz. The son of Chalos Toda Chametz. V'nasu Noiser. And now they became Noiser as well. Okay. L'Rabbana. According to Rabbanan, the Sari Ho b'Chametz Hachlogi Yizman Biur b'Sreifa. The chametz before it gets to the time of biur, you're supposed to burn it. Shigiyas man biuro, when the time of biur comes, there's basa so b'chol davar. You eliminate no matter how, whatever way. We boil our question of chalos tod shnasu nosar. Chalos tod shkim nosar. Shemitzvasam misreifa, where you're supposed to burn them as nosar. Meaning they say kim shem chametz, but they're also chametz. As after this man biur, hashbasas b'chol davar. Very similar question. So we do hashbasa whichever way you can do it. Or dilma is milsai kaima b'sreifa, right? So do we say that you retain the mitzvah of sreifa? And Hochinami, here too, he brings down, he says it's similar to the question before we asked by Petach Hamor. First was the mitzvah of Reifa, right? And then came the mitzvah of skila, which is more chomer, right? So do we go by the first chiyuv or by the second chiyuv? Here too, im nasu noiser shlokias man biurim became noiser first. I'm a streifa, so mitzvah streifa. Mishias man biurim, but when the time biur comes, so then I'm a varm choldover. Maybe now you have to be a var as quickly as possible, not wait around for streifa. Therefore, forget about streifa. You should var no matter what. So it's a very similar question. And he elaborates in it. He says, nasu you gimel b'nisan. They the chalos Torah were made on a gimel nisan. Shenasu noisar, they became noisar the following day. Kodem is man bir chametz, before the time bir chametz hash basan it became noisar that night. Hash basan is sreifa dafka came in shekavar chalayim mitzvah sreifa. That's if they're gimel im kiru dalid. If they were sacrificed, according to Shitas Yerushalmi, which said several times that you can bring korban to Yudalit, Shegias my bir chametz, kodim shenasu nosar, where the mitzvah bir chametz comes before nosar, because it comes nosar by nightfall, and not, they became osar as chametz previously. Then hashbasa sam b'chol dover. Then we would know hashbasa is b'chol dover. That's not our question. Our question now is they became nosar first, right? And didn't burn them before this man biur. Now this man biur comes. Do I still wait around to burn them? Or since Chacham knows, no, just create a chametz as soon as possible, so therefore I don't wait around to burn them. I do hashbasa sam b'chol davar. Okay, so the So that's now it's seated inside. Remember, they shall chalos to the shnasu nosar nema im nasu nosar actually gizman biuron. It became nosar before the zman biur. At like we said before, they've done you give a mevaron. So then you do mevaron. The Korban changes this from bechol dover. It switches for the next line b'sreifa. Then you should do sreifa because that's the mitzvah to do it. Do it first. Mishigizman biuron, but is the time of the biur comes. Then he says, I'm a varon, again, it's Korban change gears, so he resolves this question, he resolves. He says that, if it's prior to the Zman Biur, so then burn them. Of course, not yet Zman Biur, and they commit the Sreifa. If it's after Zman Biur, so then do whatever you can to get rid of them. Again, Kohen Rabbanan, that the holds you should get rid of them immediately and not wait to burn them. Get rid of them immediately and don't wait to burn them. There's the article brings down a question, why do you have to burn them all together? It's chalos hekdesh, doesn't belong to you. So the Rebaz answers that we're talking about where he's makabel achrayus on the chalos toida. So since he has achrayus, so therefore he's it's b'shuso. And then there's another answer from the Amudei Or that the heter achila, which you have in lachmei toida, makes you a bailim in terms of an obligation to then be mevar them. Okay, halacha beis chametz shel akum, chametz of non-Jewish of a Pesach, which Pesach is passed over. Mutar b'noah, you have the right benefit from it. Shel Yisrael, if it's belongs to Yisrael over Pesach, then it's also b'noah. Shneimar lo yireh lecha. The no chametz should be seen by you, and the Chachamim said that after Pesach, it becomes Asbanoah. The Korban Moshe says, Shem Lecha al Reisha Kai, Chametz Shel Akum, Mutzar Mishum Shneimar Lo Yireh Lecha, Shechel Torah Avet Torah Shel Acherim. Right? It's a Chametz of non-Jews Mutzar. But Lo Yireh Lecha, for a Jew, but for the Chametz of a non-Jew, is not a problem. Okay, Akum Shilva, but the Isra of Chametz Shel Pesach is Rabbanan. It's the Rabbanan. It only goes by Jews and not by a goys. Okay, so when it says Akum, Mishnah says Akum Shilvas Yisrael Chametzo, a non-Jew who loaned money to a Jew and he took his chametz served as collateral. So Lachar Pesach Mutar b'noah, after Pesach Mutar b'noah. V'Yisrael Shilva Akum Chemtzo, vice versa. V'Yisrael borrowed loan money to a goy and took his chametz as collateral. Lachar Pesach As b'noah, after Pesach it's no, because under achrayus, so it's on the responsibility of the and the authority of the Jew. Chametz shlefa polis, chametz upon which an avalanche has fallen, harei boards as if it's eradicated. You don't have to go make heroic efforts to extricate it and destroy it. Shimon Gamliel, what's the definition of chametz shlefa polis? Kol she'ein kelev yochel chapes acharav, anything which a dog cannot burrow down and extricate it from underneath the whatever fell in it. And Moshe says kami chafisas kelev gimel tfachim. Okay, so he says hilchot tzorshia offer level of pachas b'shlosh tfachim. Okay, and he says no less 3 tfachim of refuse on top of it. V'chein halacha shegam lo b'chlokot tanakama el beer. The end of my post not arguing, rather he's explaining. Okay, so it says in the Gemara, our Mishnah said chamesh akum shavu lepesach mutar b'noah. What do I benefit from? Hobachila osur. Sounds like it's also to eat. Only hanoah is permitted, not achila. So the Gemara says, very interesting answer of left field. Masnisa makom shalom nagu le'achol pasakum. Our mission is a place where they don't have a custom to eat pasakum. That's why nobody's going to eat it, because it's pasakum. They don't eat pasakum. Makom shalom le'achol pasakum, place where their custom is to eat bread baked by non-Jews. So then, you're allowed to eat it. You're allowed even to eat the chametz shel Pesach of the goy. Masnisa, b'sal Pesach mau. So as the Korban explains, the Gemara is asking, so Pesach mau lenos b'chemtzo shlakum. Right, benefit from the chametz of a non-Jew during Pesach. What's the status? Rabbi Yirmiyah mar mutar. Rabbi Yosef mar osir. Rabbi Yosef says mutar, I benefit from the chametz of a non-Jew during Pesach. Yosef says it's osir. Hey, so Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef asked, "What Tani didn't we learn? Lo yaskiras Yisrael's behemtel akum, lo avi love chametz." You're not allowed to rent out your animal if you're Jewish to a non-Jew for him to bring chametz on it, right? So why not? If it's mutar b'anoah, you're deriving benefit. Yes, it's true because he was paying you money to rent your donkey to carry his chametz, but it's his chametz. So according to Rabbi Yirmiyah, it should be mutar. Pasalo, so he explained it's a ba imo. So it says, I'm not sure if this is Rabbi Yirmiyah's response or Rabbi Yossi responding on behalf of Rabbi Yirmiyah, but he's saying that it looks like he's directly taking schar from chametz because he's accompanying the donkey, and therefore therefore you can't rent yourself out, can't rent out because of this. It looks like you're deriving direct benefit from the chametz, not indirect benefit. Moshe, though, says, although it seems the Kormei is correct about this, Moshe says that the issue is Chayshina Dilma Ase Mechmine. He might come to eat from it. That's why he's not allowed to do it. Wonder what other portion say. Article goes to the Pnei Moshe, but he brings out Reb Chaim Kanievsky. He says, like, it goes to the Kormei. Okay. But similar question. Lo yaskir so svinos lo akum lo v'lo chametz. You're not allowed to rent out your boat to a non-Jew in order to bring chametz on it. So again, pasal b'boimo, you're accompanying him in either because maritime or because you might come to eat with it from it. So now I'm going to ask, well, what time you ask yourselves based on akum litim zo chametz? The Jew is not allowed to rent out his house to a non-Jew to put chametz inside. Isra meimer b'dorimo. You're going to say it's totally about that he's living with him. That doesn't seem to be the case. And the Gemara does not resolve the question. Leaves it difficult. I guess, it's like a kasha in the Bavli. We don't have a kasha in the Yerushalmi. But it could be, you could answer. Yeah, they're living in the same house. Okay, temporarily at least. But the Rabbi Yosef angle, the Shas, the Yerushalmi Kavshila brings down and says, no, you couldn't answer that because you're talking now allowed to live with a non-Jew. He says because he brings down the Gemara in Eruvin, which we've had, where the about not living with one Eruvin Daf Sound base. Now I was living with a non-Jew, but because they're afraid he might murder you. But he says the Yerushalmi there doesn't bring down that reason, and for not living with a non-Jew, so it's not clear the Yerushalmi agrees with that, with this mahalach, with the mahalach of the Gilyon Hashas, the Gilyon Hashas. Reb Chaim wants to say the reason why he doesn't say, well, he's living together with him is because the Bavli and Dab Vav says that it's also to live together with him because of by Motzei, okay, it's not much away from the, I don't know if that's Pshat Yerushalmi. Anyway, because it may. Again, could just been like, well, I could have answered, but it wasn't chash to answer it. Okay, next case. Gago shel akum shesom gago sheisrael. You have a roof of a non-Jew, which is adjacent to the roof of a Jew. There's gago chametz mi gago shel akum, the gago sheisrael, and chametz rolled from non-Jew's roof to the roof of the Jew. So raise a dochva bekana. You should push it off with a stick. So the fasting korban aida here. Raise a dochva bekana. Avabiyadu asliga. Be not to touch with your hand. The came to a badam minay. Since you're not going to separate yourself from it because it belongs to the non-Jew, so you're not going to eradicate it. You're not going to eliminate it because we know dilmas and mechal minay. Makes there the might go deep in it. So don't touch it. Avachametz shelo. But if your own chametz, you're allowed to take it with your own hands and take it out to burn, eliminate it. The logo zvina. The came the mechamaster love sorfo. Since you're bent, you are determined to destroy it, right? Lo yishkach, not forget, and you're not going to actually make a mistake, forget and eat it. Okay, so if it was Shabbos or Yontif, so if it was Shabbos or Yontif, So that's called it says also tatal chametz b'shum muktzeh. Chametz is muktzeh for the kanish meitiltu, and even by moving it with a stick, that's also considered to be extension of your hand, and it's forbidden. So what do? Rav Amar kofa of kli. You put on it like a cover of Pask Vatar in the base of Mikdash, where they found the sheretz in the base of Mikdash, and they can't take it out on Shabbos, so they put a keli over it. So we have to put a keli over it. Rav Amar, Tzorch Lamar, Rav says you have to say the Bitul Chametz. Call Chametz Sheshim, so basically, any Chametz I have in my house, Veni or there boat, you batel. It should be batel. So interesting because Yerushalmi has it in Hebrew, not called chamir like we say it in Aramaic. So as we have to say it's batel. Rav Amar said, "Tzorch I also say a bracha. Asher Yerushalmi tzavitz v'amir chametz." Rav said, he says Rav Amar is no matter chlokas because Yerushalmi this may follow the principle that when somebody says Amar the Amora, and when somebody says the Amora said, no, it doesn't make a difference. Rav Amar hatach beso chametz tzarich l'bar. If you plastered your house with chametz, you have to eradicate it. Okay, the Yerushalmi Pesachim brings down from the Raviyah, and Pesachim says that that the Minhagim brings down from the Ravon that the Ravon here's in parentheses that the Sefer Minhagim, I don't know what the Minhagim was, that writes to you have to scrape the chairs and walls to which chametz is clinging. They based on this Yerushalmi. Okay, so this is it's the base of that. Ravan himself, they quote Ravan himself, who says it. That's Mashinogim Garak Solim Shagir Bem Chametz, Batek. Sorry, Shagir Bem Batek. You have walls in which dough adhere, leaving a Pesach, and to wash the chairs. So right here from the Yerushalmi. Okay, fine. So so let's see. So I thought basic chametz if you plaster the chametz in your house. So Tanya, I remember Shimon says batek so kufas batel. Why should you have to eliminate that chametz? Hi, batek, which you made a dough into a kufas, which is like a cushion, right? We made a big piece of dough to sit on it. Like it's got hardened to sit on it. It's batel, so why do you have to get rid of the chametz with which you plastered your house? Pasaloi said, "O chalukin u'shemin elazar." Either they're those who argue Shem Elazar, and Rab's going like those argue Shem Elazar. Oh, and kufas moisi, or a cushion to sit on, is particularly repugnant, and therefore it's the chametz is being so objectionable. It's like pasach chilazkel, chametz pasach chilazkel, although not necessarily pasach chilazkel, I guess, but it's similar to that, and therefore you don't have to eliminate it. Whereas that Ravon, who he brings down, says the Shimon says kufas so shir but betela mukila kufas mos shetach pona betit. It's not so. He Ravon wants to say that this the repugnance is because you coated it, which is not much more. It sounds more even to go coated the dough itself becomes most, but okay, the Ravon obviously learned that it's most because you had covered it. Okay. Yisrael v'akum shubayim b'sfina. I always read from Vilna where it says akum. The art school says Yisrael v'goy. It's the same idea. Right? Yisrael v'akum shubayim b'sfina. You come in a boat. The chametz Yisrael and the Jew had chametz. Hareza moichel akum. Here's some carving. Here's chametz. Right? You can sell the chametz to the non-Jew or no some matana, and you will give it to him as a gift, or give it a gift. So chayz lo chametz lachar Pesach, and you buy it back after Pesach. Or if he gave as a gift, you can give it back as a gift. Uvachi no matora gemura. As long as you give it as an absolute gift. So the Carbonator says that matana gemura means avalo matana manas lahachzir, not a matana on the condition to be given back. The article means on the Achronim will argue that, as you would assume, who would say that no, even a matana manas lahachzir, but it works because matana manas lahachzir as long as you give it as a matana gemura as an absolute gift for the time in which you're giving it to a non-Jew. Okay, which I guess it's possible to because they have that kavanah. I'm a Yisrael akum. A Yisrael can say to a non-Jew, "Ad she'at lokech b'mona, bo v'kach lecha b'masayim." So the Karmelet says, "Perusha kamafarish." He's explaining, "How to come ad she'lokech b'mona, bo v'kach b'masayim. Hainu ad she'lokech me'akum b'mona." Right, and instead of buying from a non-Jew for 100, kachel misom l'sayim, buy from a Jew for 200. Shem etzev kachlecha achar Pesach. I'm going to need it for you, take it back for you after Pesach. So it's kind of weird, right? What's he saying? So the way Reb Chaim explains it, instead of taking a little bit of chametz for 100, come and take a lot of chametz for 200. And the next line explains what's going on here. But before I get there, it could be that he means, listen, it's a hint. It's worth only 100. Buy it for me for 200. And obviously, wink, wink, after Pesach, I'm going to give you even more money back. In other words, you buy it from me to 200, right? And after Pesach, I'll give you even more. So it's to show that an indication that there's something going on here. And that's the next line is really saying. Instead of buying from a non-Jew, whatever comes to you, so come buy from Yisrael. Maybe I'm going to need it. I'm going to buy from you after Pesach. So this harama, Mechiras Chametz, is explicit in the Yerushalmi. It's basically from a Tosefta, but it's explicit in the Yerushalmi. So Mechiras Chametz, here it is, and it's even can be done with the understanding. As long as you do Mechir Gemura, and what Jew is not going to sell to a non-Jew Mechir Gemura in order to avoid the Yisrael by Matzah? It's understanding that we're doing some sort of thing here. It's just really worth only 100. Take it for 200. You have to pay, so it'll be worth your while. I'm saying along those lines, but because as it says in the next line here again, I'm going to need you after Pesach. The Kormeir brings down a Giros from the Tosefta. It's really, well, it's not really changing that much. Never mind. Okay. I'm asking by Chaver. Somebody who rents out his friend, a house to his friend. Okay, so actually, before he enters it, Hamaskir Tzarech Levar. So what are we talking about here? So the question is on Yudalit, who's got a check, right? So if it's still in the jurisdiction of the masker has to check, right? Even though they came to agreement, the masker is still there. The scholar didn't come. A masker tzarech he's got to check it out and eliminate the comments. Mishnech the socher, once he enters it, so then the socher, of course, if he's done Yudal tzarech then he has to do the bir chametz. Amar Shimon said, "Mosai, when is this true? This match muslo as a mafteach, when he gave him the key. As much lo masalo as a mafteach, eno tzarech bar. Didn't give the key, he doesn't have to be a mavar. So it was a very strange thing. What's it to do with the key? Either it's living there or it's not living there." So the Mashbiach explains that it is not coming to explain the previous Gemara, but it's going to be machmir on the previous Gemara, saying, Amos, when is it true that the Seicher is off the hook if the masker is living there on the Yudahar, if he didn't get the key, right? But if he got the key, right, then even though he's not living there, it's incumbent upon him. So Amos, when does the Socher have to do it, even though he's not living there yet? when he got the key, when the masker already gave him the key. As much lo masar maftech, when the masker didn't yet give him the key, ain't talking about it. Then it's not incumbent on the socher. It's yet since it's not living there, and he didn't get the key. Rabbi Yehuda said, Bar Pazi asked a question, Muslim Maftech Mao. So according to the Mashbiach, this is the question is indeed we say Mesiras Maftech changes the status, even though the person is not living there yet. And Kumar is asking is exploring this question from further. According to the Mecha Mayim says that this question about Pazi is talking about when the key was not given to the socher himself, but to one of his members of his household. The Barbos gave the key to his wife or his kids. So is that sufficient to be mechayev the socher, or would the socher himself have to get the key in order to be chayev in the bdika? So Rabbi Zechariah Chasani Rabbi Levi. Rabbi Zechariah, the son of Levi said it's machlokas Rabbi Shimon Chachamim. It's machlokas. The Tzniya tell me learned hamosam avtechol am oretz. So he gives his key, and the this is obviously before it was Rabbi Shimon who said emasar is match muslim avtech. So according to the Rabbi Shimon here is going to be the shitaso, but I'm going to say by Tuma Mesiras Maftech is considered to be the kinyan, even though he didn't move in yet. Because it says somebody gives his key to Amoretz, by his Tor. House is still Tor. And the contents is still Tor. Shalom Shmiras Maftech. That's Tanakama, was like Rabbanan before Rabbi Shimon, who say that has to do with taking possession, not taking the key. So if he just took the key, didn't take possession, the house is still Tor. Still belongs to the still on the in the jurisdiction of the maskir, who is chaver and still Tor. Shalom Asal Shmiras Maftech gave him the key to safeguard. Tani Rabbi Shimon Matame. She says no, it's tummy because Rabbi Shimon Shitas holds the Mesiras Maftech is actually considered to be acquisition, and now it's under the jurisdiction of the Amoritz, and therefore it is considered to be. The assumption is that things in there are now considered to be tamei, as are all the property of the Amoritz. Okay. A non-Jew came to visit a Jew on Pesach, the other chametz, and he's holding chametz. Ain't a tzorich bar. You don't have to eliminate the chametz. Hifkid it so, but if he gives it to him to safekeep, tzorich bar. You have to eliminate it. You get a little bias if you designate it for the akum house, an area for him to keep his chametz, and says the Korban of lo kibul of achrayas. He didn't accept responsibility for his chametz. Omar lo harei bais manecha hanicho b'achad zavios. House in front of you, put in one of the corners, and then ain't tzarich bar because you weren't makabel achrayas. Lo beer. What about the Yisrael who got this chametz bikadon? What about what's its status if he wasn't mevaret? L'achad Pesach Mao. What's the status of Pesach? Rabbi Yehuda Amar Mutar, Rabbi Yosef Amar Aser. Rabbi Yehuda says it is Mutar because it's still chametz of a non-Jew, and Rabbi Yosef says Aser no, even though it's chametz non-Jew, but you accept it as a pikadon, and therefore it's Aser. So Chaim explains a fascinating thing. He says according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's Mutar because even though it's a chametz non-Jew, and even though he was over by Iroa, right? Nevertheless, it's not his chametz, and we don't answer your chametz. So he says you got a chiyuv to me avaret because you got to be because of Iroa, but you're not. But nevertheless, you were not over. It's not asabano because it's not your chametz. A fascinating dichotomy. And the Rabbi Yosef says, no, it's usher. If you're over by Roya, it doesn't matter whether it's your belongs to you, doesn't belong to you. You still, you're responsible for it, and therefore it's usher. Based on this, next line, the Gemara becomes interesting. the way we have to get from it, Rabbi Yosef, Chametz Sh'akamhu, it is an explanation of Rabbi Yosef, saying it's the chametz of a Jew, it's chametz of non-Jew. Yisrael was shavar love labiro, but Yisrael violated. He wasn't mevaret. He was a bayra, so therefore it's also after Pesach. The Gillian Ashas changes the girsa. He says it's Rabbi Yoina, chametz Sh'akamhu. He says it's the exact opposite. No, he says it's chametz of a non-Jew, and that's its mutzer. Yisrael shavar lo bioro. He wasn't mekayim his chiyuv to mevaret, but again, it doesn't matter. Since he was says the chiyuv bior, that which is also by no, is not because you should have been mevaret the chametz, but rather if you own the chametz, and he didn't own the chametz. So very interesting. Difference of opinion as to whether we read it as Rabbi Yosef, and it's the reason why he's Asasit, or Rabbi Yoina, and the reason why it's Materet. They can go either way. Evidently, the Gillian Shas says Chlok Yaakov also changes it. The article changes it. No, he goes with like Reb Chaim. That's going Rabbi Yosef coming to explain himself. Okay. Okay, so the Gemara says, "Mantana lo yirelecha." The Korban Ada is learning L'shitaso that he going like the Ruchaim that the Rabbi Yosef just spoke. He said, so Mata Lechaim Arva Bayroa Loirod also Aflach Pesach Belotase. It's also after Pesach by Lotase. Not just the Rabbanon, but it's also the Raisa goes to Lotase, right? And so how do you so where it says according to this Rabbi Yehuda. It's going to Rabbi Yehuda Tani. Ha'ocha chametz shishos umalo chen chametz shalov Pesach. Raise up lo saseh. There's a lo saseh on it. Ve'ein bo kores, and there's no kores. David Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, so that's according to the Korban Ada and according to the Reb Chaim. And then Rabbi Shimon argues. He says Rabbi Shimon oimer kol she'ein bo kores, ein bo lo saseh. If there's no kores after Pesach, there's no saseh either. And Rabbi Shimon also shu also. Rabbi Shimon concedes, however, that it's also to eat like we paskin midrabanan. Okay, so actually, the Gemara is going to say some machlekes. I take that back. The Gemara is going to say Yisur Maut, Rabbi Yoina Ma'isur Dvar Torah, and Rabbi Yossi Dorein Amen Yisur Divrei. Okay, now, but after all that's said and done, the Mashbiach changes the girsa. He says a mistake. It says it's a new question. It's not Mantan lo yelcha, but Mantan lo yechel chametz. Who says you're not allowed to eat the chametz after Shavuot Pesach? It's not talking about Bayra. It's not a continuation of the previous sugya. It's a new statement. Okay, so Mantan lo yechel chametz applies chametz after Pesach. And that Rabbi Yehuda Tani ochel chametz chametz is not about no, right? So ochel chametz b'sheishos u'mal chen chametz shalva Pesach. Hametz b'los say bein b'kores is lav the raisa no kores to Rabbi Yehuda. Shemar kol shein b'kores ein bo b'los say is no los say either. But Rabbi Shimon also shoser because Rabbi Shimon concedes nevertheless that it's also. And then the Gemara says, Machlekes, Rei and Amarav, so we'll come back to this tomorrow, but Yisur Mau, what's the Isur? Rabbi Yoina Ma'isur Dvar Torah, Rabbi Yoina of Rabbi Yossi Tavinamen, Yisur the Ram, it's only Isur D'Rabbanan. But we'll come back to that tomorrow because we're in the next page.